from a numbers perspective, you have to get to 218 votes. And looking at some of these other names on the list, Jim Jordan, I think he's also probably a front runner if Trump is not interested. But Steve Scalise and Tom Emmer, they're both going to have tremendous trouble getting to 218. President Trump comes in; he already has like 110 congressional endorsements for his presidential bid, and DeSantis is the second closest with 4. And so President Trump is the most popular Republican in the party and in Congress right now. And so
in Congress, I mean, and not even as a member of Congress, but considering he's the front runner, I'm wondering what would happen. Considering he said he'll do it, that he's been asked to do it, he's been nominated. This time, it's more serious than the first time. I remember when Matt Gaetz nominated Trump first time around, and it was seen as kind of silly because Trump wasn't going to do it. Now that Trump said yes, imagine being that one rank and file Republican who has to tell your district you voted against Donald Trump as Speaker of the House.
Yeah. Well, he's already polling about 60%. There's no way. Yeah.
Why did you not support Trump and go for some rhino? Nope. No, I'm just, look, maybe I'm just saying this because I really want it to happen. But I really want it to happen.
Yeah, it would be hilarious.
I think it would be hilarious.
I so badly want it.
Trump's not really known as a unifier from everything I've garnered over the last few years, but this would be the most interesting outcome. And I think he does want it. He wouldn't be saying what he's saying right now if he didn't want the position. So, you know what? Let's do it. I want to see this. I want to see him there. I want to see him in Congress. I mean, this would also kind of derail his presidential run, because he wouldn't be able to be in key states like New Hampshire. He wouldn't be able to be in Iowa. He wouldn't be able to be in places like Michigan as well, where he needs to be.
You're under the assumption that Congress works.
It doesn't.
It doesn't work. I mean, when Nancy Pelosi was Speaker, they worked 100 days out of the year. And Kevin McCarthy had a little bit more of a strict schedule with this Congress. But, I mean, you're on for 4 days and you're off for 12.
They're a bunch of lazy welfare queens.
And on top of that, he'd have nonstop media coverage. Every camera, every day. I mean, imagine, he already has basically nonstop media coverage, but this is just
even more.
This would not derail his campaign. This would launch it to the moon. Imagine he does one little thing, right? We saw Patrick McHenry boots Nancy Pelosi from her office, and it's front page news, a big deal. Nancy Pelosi's like, how is breaking tradition? And it's hilarious. Imagine if Trump orders the floor to be mopped, and then they're like, Donald Trump is now ordering janitors around. It's front page news. It would give him press for the entire duration of however long he does it, and it would be worth billions of dollars.
Well, and he could pull the whole, my competitors in the primary are out just fundraising, and they're out, and I'm working for the American people. That's a powerful message. I'm a fan of this. I'm a fan of it purely because it's so entertaining.
Well, just looking at the other options, I mean, I think Jim Jordan's the best of the other options, but Steve Scalise was considering a run against McCarthy during January. That wasn't reported a ton, but there was some reports out there. Steve wanted that speakership. He was whipping people behind the scenes, saying, if Kevin can't make it, I want to be that guy. But I think Steve would have been worse than Kevin. I sat across from Steve in a donor's house in Palm Beach in I want to say September of 22, 2 months before the midterms. And I asked Steve, why were you raising money for candidates that impeached Donald Trump? Why were you working against MAGA candidates running against, some of these rhinos? And he's like, well, I'll need to take a look at that. I didn't know that we were raising money for these people. I'm like, how didn't you know that you're raising money for these people? You were literally there at a fundraiser for them. Oh, I'll have to take a look. I don't remember that. And so, he came down to Palm Beach for a big check. He thought he was the man. And then the donor called me and said, come on over. So I came on over, sat across from Steve and grilled him for an hour. And he left with a third of the money he came for. He was pissed. So he hasn't liked me a whole lot. But then you have Tom Emmer, who's another guy that is not aligned with the voter base. He's not aligned with the Trump Republican Party, which makes up 75% of Congress, if not more. And, he was telling donors not to donate to Trump in 2024. Allegedly, he was also going on CNN before the midterms, telling candidates, his advice to them is don't say Trump's name when you're campaigning. Meanwhile, he's sending out dozens of fundraising emails saying, this is Donald Trump and we need you to donate to the NRCC. And so you have these people with a lot of baggage. And again, you have to get to 218. And so if you're doing math, you're not going to get to 218 if you're some of these other guys and you have all of these people working against you.
So some people are asking in the super chat, they heard that Donald Trump can't be speaker because he's under indictment and that's not allowed. But that's just a GOP rule that they could literally just be like, okay, we don't care anymore. It really just comes down to the Republicans being like, yeah, we don't care, we want Trump.